Hello, my friend. It's here for you. And today I am back in the office. I guess it's the back knowledge instrument. And today we're going to be talking about six different types of membership. Now, I want to give some context because I get asked all the time, Stu, what kind of membership site should I create in my business? And I wish that there was just like one magical answer that I provided. Voila! So I was meant to, what I But the truth of the matter is, the answer is it really depends. But during this particular little mini training, I'm going to walk you through six different types of membership companies and examples, and we'll have a little chat. If you got questions about it, I want you to let me know in the comments. Robin, good to see you. Monica, good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. But if you got questions as we go, I just want you to type in question, all caps, put it in the comments here, and I'll see that and see how we go. Okay, Lisa said sound is not good. Is anybody else experiencing problems with my sound? I'm speaking straight into my laptop, so hopefully it's all good. God, good to see you, buddy. Iris is in the house from New York. Well, awesome. What a great crew joining here today. I'm going to assume that everybody, Sarah says you can't hear me either. Okay. Let me dive in here. Not sure how to fix this. Huh. Okay. Maybe.
How's that? Does that sound any better? It sounds like water, sounds like rain. Well, at least it's sounding consistent. Okay, I think if I'm going to assume that we're okay with the audio, and I'm going to hopefully that fixed it. Okay, great. Thank you for the feedback, Cindy, Scott, Leisha, Iris. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So today, here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the 6 different types of knowledge-based memberships. Now, this is important because when we talk about different types of memberships, there are really 4 big buckets, right? Like there's a product-based membership. This is similar to, the Dollar Shave Club, right? Where you're sending a physical product on a recurring basis. This is where the big boom in like subscription boxes has really, become popular. Again, this is the, product of the month type memberships like tie of the month, coffee of the month, all those kinds of things, right? So there's a product-based membership. There's service-based memberships. This is for things like massage therapy. And I was talking to one of our wonderful members from our community, Mary Claire Fredette. And I was catching up with her because, she joined our program years ago. And she had a massage business, like a physical, like you come in and you get a massage type business. And she started a membership. And the crazy part is she gave me an update. She did her founding member launch for her membership 3 years ago, and she hasn't had to launch again since, because during those 3 years, she's had more than an 80+% retention rate. And it's kept her, massage service business completely full and booked. How amazing is that, right? But again, this is where we're thinking like, okay, how do we take like a service that we're providing, whether it's massage or there's a barber shop in Toronto that's done this, or the car wash across the road that's done this, where you're taking a service that you're normally providing as a one-off service and hoping that people are going to come back. Instead, you're transitioning to a recurring-based membership. So there's product-based memberships. There's service-based memberships, there's community-based memberships, and this is where people just pay to be a part of a community of people who have a shared interest. And these have been around for a long time, but what's amazing is now more than ever, we can connect with people who have the similar and same interests that we may have never realized is an actual thing. And this is one of the things that I love about our communities. We get exposed to like all kinds of markets that I had no idea, like balloon animals, like, Holly George is a great example of that, like of, creating memberships around, things as obscure as balloon animals, or community-based memberships. And a good example would be Tanel in Estonia has a membership around parenting, where there's not necessarily a lot of teaching happening. It's more about bringing people together who have a shared interest. Okay. But the one that I'm going to focus on today are knowledge-based memberships. This is where we are teaching the things that we know, love, and do. This is where we're passing down our expertise, so to speak, within a membership. And there are 6 different types of knowledge-based memberships. And that's what I'm going to walk you through here. Now, knowledge-based is the most common type of membership. Many times it'll have a component of community, and we'll kind of get to that. So Kelly, I see it. Kelly said, yes, that's what community is what I'm thinking. And most often, most memberships have a community component. So it's not exclusively community, that it may be a combination. And we'll kind of talk about that. Okay, so let's dive into it, and we'll get right into the different types of memberships. So before you begin thinking about like what type is right for you, I really encourage you to get clear on a few things first. Like, first and foremost, what are your goals for this membership? And the reason I'm saying that is because like the type of membership that you're going to create will be greatly influenced by the goals. I'll give you an example. Dana Abraham, she has a course which helps parents who have kids that are a bit challenging, right? And Dana has created an incredible process and methodology to help parents who have more challenging kids to better understand them. And then as the kids are better understood, there are different strategies and so forth that really help the kids be able to thrive in whatever environment that they are in. So she's created this course, and the course is amazing, but it's a higher price course. And then she also has a back-end membership after that supports people in the implementation of what they've learned in the course. So that was all set up. That was cooking. Everything was going great. But one of the things that Dana wanted to do was she wanted to create a new membership, because the course being a higher price meant that far fewer people were able to get in. And she wanted to be able to have a front-end membership that would be able to serve a lot more people. But, and this comes back to the goals, she wanted to do it in a way that wouldn't require more of her time, energy, and effort. Like the course and the back-end membership and her business as a whole was, that's where Dana spent the majority of her time. So she didn't want to add another thing, if that makes sense. But yet she wanted both of those objectives. She wanted to reach more people and give more people an avenue to come into her world. And at the same time, she wanted to minimize the time it took for her in managing it. Okay, it makes sense? So she was very clear on her goals. Now, what she did was she created a membership, and we'll go through the type here, that it actually is so streamlined and so simple that Dana is not involved in any of the content creation. Dana's team have batch produced the content for the membership, literally like months, probably even years now in advance. And because it's so streamlined, she's kept the price really low. In her case, I think it's around $20 a month. And it has created an enormous opportunity for her to welcome a lot more people into her world and therefore introduce them to other programs down the road. So she was very clear about her goals, and that's the most important piece of this. Second thing I want you to consider before you think about the type of membership are what are the needs and wants of your audience. So we always want to start with who we're looking to serve, right? And what are they looking to accomplish? What are they looking to achieve? And given that, how can we create an experience that's going to best serve them accordingly? So perhaps your audience They want you're in a market where they are wanting, updated information on a regular basis. Well, if that's the case, and a good example of that would be something in like crypto as an example, right? Things are changing all the time in crypto. One day, prices are super high. The next day it's like plummeted and it's like gone to like half of what it was the day before. Like things are, changing all the time. And therefore, content in a membership in a market like that needs to change accordingly, because people are most likely signing up for that membership to be in the loop, to get, up-to-date information. I think of a good friend of mine, AJ Brown, had a membership in the stock trading space. And it was a similar situation, right? Like people were looking for that up-to-date, insight. And so because of that market's desire, and because of that, their market's wants, the type of membership was, built on the back of that desire and that want. Okay. Whereas if you're in a market where things aren't changing a lot, then you have a little more flexibility in terms of the type of membership, because you can, maybe you drip it out. You can, maybe there's a coaching model. There's all kinds of different things that we'll begin talking about here in just a second. And lastly, the last thing I want you to consider before we get into the models is ultimately at the end of the day, like, what's your vision for the business? And do you want to be involved in the membership? Do you want it to be hands-free? Do you want a community component where you're building this community? Or do you not want that engagement and not want that community? Like Dana, do you want to be able to serve a lot more people, but not necessarily be involved in the content creation? Like, what is the vision that you have for the business? Because that's certainly going to play a factor as well. Okay, so with those baseline considerations, let's talk about the 6 different types of knowledge-based memberships. First is the publisher model. Now, the way to think about this is it's a lot like an online magazine. Every month the magazines get published and they have fresh new articles in that magazine. A publisher membership is very similar, where every month there is fresh new content being delivered inside of that membership. Now, my typical recommendation for how much content is 4 primary pieces per month. Now, why do you think, this is a pop quiz for everybody watching and listening, why do you think I'm recommending 4 primary pieces per month? Anybody know? Pop quiz. Come on, everybody. Who's gonna come through? Who's gonna come through with the answer? So if I'm recommending 4 primary pieces per month, the reason I'm doing that is it's 1 primary piece per week. Well done, Trish. That's exactly it. So the reason we don't want to provide a whole lot of information is because if we bombard people with a ton of information, it's going to overwhelm them. And unlike a magazine or unlike a newspaper, as an example, the focus for us with a membership is to help people experience progress in some area of their life. And if we bombard them with a ton of information, we overwhelm them. And if we overwhelm them, it's a matter of time before they give up and leave. And that doesn't serve them, and it certainly doesn't serve us. So we don't want to overwhelm people. The focus for us with the content we provide is to help people experience progress. And as long as we continue to do that, then they continue to stay. So the focus for a publisher model is we're providing fresh new content on a regular basis. I typically recommend 4 primary pieces of content per month. You can add some supplementary pieces as well, but 4 primary focuses per month. And again, we're doing this each and every month. Now, there's a couple good examples of this. Like Susie Daphnis has a membership called Her Business. This is where, in her case, she's helping women-based entrepreneurs really scale their business and build systems and processes and team and so forth to be able to scale beyond she serves women entrepreneurs who have a business and it's established, but now they're really looking to scale. So her membership, Her Business, is all based around like a publisher style model. Rhonda Nelson is a great example of that. She has a membership that teaches people around alternative medicine and similar sort of thing. Like she's publishing fresh new content on a regular basis. So that's a a publisher style membership. Now, the second model that I want to share that's a knowledge-based membership is a UPS style membership. Now, the reason I called it a UPS is because I want you to think of like delivering a package of content each and every month. Okay. So it could just as easily be called the FedEx model, but I picked UPS. But the UPS model is where we're delivering a package of content each month. So let me give you a couple of examples that'll really, kind of bring this home. So the first example is I want you to think of like physical packages being delivered. Perfect example would be like Sarah Williams with her Monogram subscription box. So each month she's delivering a package of content to her subscribers. You could think of like, Bark Box, which is like the dog toys and treats, et cetera, that get delivered. But I want you to think of some digital type of memberships that would fall into this bucket. Now, a good example of that would be Anna DiGilio. So Anna she helps second grade teachers by providing, reading lesson plans for their students. So she saves teachers a ton of time because they don't have to plan and think of all the lesson plans. Instead, Anna gives them the lesson plans each and every month. So imagine being a teacher. Like, how awesome would that be? Not having to spend your evenings and weekends planning. And if you know a teacher, because my wife used to be a teacher for 10 years, her evenings and weekends were consumed with lesson planning. Well, with Anna's membership, she delivers a package of content each and every month where their lessons are all done and ready to go. So the teachers just have to, essentially utilize those lessons in the classroom. It saves them a ton of time. Another good example would be Paul Evans. Now, he has a membership for youth ministers. And essentially what he delivers is each month he's delivering weekly sermons for his members. So for them, I don't know if you know this or not, but most youth pastors, they also have full-time jobs. So they're, essentially a youth pastor on the weekend, and during the week they have their own full-time job. So what was happening was a lot of youth pastors have challenges in preparing their sermons, so to speak, for the Sunday mornings. So what Paul provides are, again, a package of done for you sermons. So essentially the youth pastor just has to go in and change a few things, but the sermon itself and the presentation and the slides is pretty much done. So he's not necessarily teaching them anything. In fact, in Paul's case, he used to, but realized that the youth pastors didn't have time to learn and weren't consuming any of that content. What they were really there for was just the PowerPoint presentation. So he scaled everything back and just continued to provide the PowerPoint presentation. Didn't see a drop in members, and it made it so much more streamlined and easy for him to deliver. But again, what is he doing? He's delivering a package of content for his membership. Now, Amy says, I'm struggling a little bit to understand how a UPS follows a success path. Okay, so let me just quickly touch on that. So a success path, it shows people the journey of going from where they are to where they want to be. The key here, Amy, is understanding how what you're delivering is helping them get better and better and better at ultimately achieving the objective. Let's just take Paul for an example. On one end of the spectrum, a youth pastor would be struggling, stressed, not delivering great sermons, that kind of thing, right? That would be on one end of the spectrum. On the other end of that success path would be a sermon or a youth pastor who delivers great presentations, engaging, getting results, not stressed at all, great presenter, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you go from stressed to, relaxed, or how do you go from, crappy presentations to great presentations, et cetera, et cetera? It's all by utilizing what is being provided each and every week in Paul's case. So hopefully that helps make sense there. Okay, so we've got our publisher model. We've got our UPS model. Model number 3 is the coaching model. So in this scenario with a coaching-based membership, this is where we're really helping people implement some kind of teaching. Now, a coaching model typically, not always, but typically comes as a back-end membership where somebody has gone through a course where they've gone deep in learning a whole bunch of things, all at once. And now it's really about supporting people in the implementation of what they've learned. Because again, a course are amazing for teaching people what to do and how to do, but seldom do people have time during that course frame to really master the concepts of what is being taught. And that's where a back-end membership really comes into play. And so typically coaching-based memberships are coming after somebody has gone through a course or program. Now, Amy Porterfield has a great example of this with her Momentum membership. And this is for her DCA students, Digital Course Academy students, who have learned all about how to create great courses. And now it's about implementing that and getting results. And she has that, supports them in a coaching model in her Momentum membership. Laura Phillips is another great example with Launch and Thrive. Like, she teaches people how to do great product launches, and then she supports them with that with her membership. So it's more coaching based. Okay. All right. So we've got publisher, UPS, coaching. We've also got community. So strictly community. Now, we kind of talked about this before, but oftentimes you'll have memberships that are people will just pay for on a monthly basis just to be part of that community. So, I don't know where you live, but where I grew up, I grew up in the boonies, right? And so, cows on one side, corn on the other. Like, that's where I grew up. So when I had an interest in, online marketing and building a business online, like I was like one of very few people in my immediate area that had any of those interests. So locally, it was really hard for me to find people to connect with, people to talk to, et cetera, et cetera. But because of the internet is amazing. It gives us the ability to be able to connect with people who have the similar and shared interests that we otherwise would never normally be able to connect with. And I'm so grateful for the internet, by the way. And this is the massive opportunity that you and I have, is being able to bring people together who have a shared interest. And there are all kinds of memberships in all kinds of different markets that I would never have heard of or thought of or even known about had it not been for, the opportunity that we have to be able to serve all these different markets. But from things like, lashpreneurs. Did you know this was a thing? These are entrepreneurs that help women with, the fake eyelashes. Well, I didn't even know that there's businesses that are built around this whole thing, but there are. And, there's communities for people that are in that niche. There's communities, as I mentioned, for people with who love balloon animals. And creating balloon animals. Like Holly George has created a community for people who want to learn how to create these different balloon animals. Like, you name the kind of interest, the internet gives us the opportunity to bring people together around that. And that's a beautiful gift that we have available to us that really hasn't been available to any other generation. Now, people will, if there's a deep enough desire, people will pay just to be part of a community of others who have that shared interest, because they aren't able to engage in conversation anywhere else except for these types of communities. And there are great examples of this, but one is Tanel over in Estonia. Now, he created a parenting membership for people of Estonia. And prior to this, there really wasn't anywhere to discuss the type of parenting that he follows and shares with his audience. And so this has created this incredible community of people. Now, Estonia is not a big country by any means, but it's a niche, so to speak. And he is able to serve that niche specifically in the parenting, and has created this environment where people feel comfortable talking about the kind of parenting issues and challenges and so forth. And he's created a great community. So community-based memberships, so where people are paying just to connect with others around the shared like or interest. Okay. The next one, number 5, number 5 is a modular or drip. And this is really where you are delivering the content in a very structured flow and format. But it's unlike a course where it comes in a very short period of time. It is stretched out over a much longer period of time. Good example of this is Anna Runyon. So Anna has a membership where she is teaching people how to transition from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world. And what she has done is she has structured her membership to be dripped out over time, but it follows a particular structure and flow. Yuri Elkaim's the same. He has a membership that helps health-based entrepreneurs. And he has more than 2+ years of content that is dripped out over time. So if you can imagine, the way this works is somebody joins on day 0 and they get access to that initial content. And then on day 1, the next day, they get access to a little bit more content. On day 2, they get access to a little bit more, and it continues to grow like that. So if somebody were to come in 6 months down the road, they would begin at the day 0 content, and then it starts getting unlocked accordingly. So that's like a drip or modular type model. Now, the 6 model, number 6, is a combo where it may incorporate different elements from all of those memberships. So this is what I was saying earlier, like a lot of memberships are going to have like maybe a publisher style model combined with a community model. And so there'll be both components interjected. You may have like a UPS model and a publisher model. Like Casey Hope is a great example of that. She has a calligraphy based membership, and each month she delivers a box of content, but she's also delivering other components inside the digital membership as well. So it's kind of a combination. And so many times you'll have elements from these different types of memberships all woven into one. So again, I'm going to quickly review the 6 different types. Number 1 is a publisher style model. This is the most common. It's like an online magazine where you are providing fresh new content on a regular basis. And as I mentioned earlier, the key metric, so to speak, are 4 primary pieces of content per month. You don't want to load people up with a whole bunch of content because that'll overwhelm them, and then they're going to bail and they're not going to see the kind of progress that they're capable of. And so you want to prevent the overwhelm. 4 primary pieces of content. UPS model is model number 2. This is where you're delivering a package of content. Now that could be a physical package, but in our world with the digital package, I want you to think of membership sites like Anna DiGilio's 2nd grade lesson plans, or Paul Evans with his weekly sermons, or I think of Patty Palmer with her art lesson plans for art teachers. It's a very similar model where you're delivering in their case, a package of lessons that people are able to utilize. The 3rd model is the coaching model. This typically comes after a course or a conference or something like that, where you're helping people implement what they have learned. And so there's a baseline in terms of what they're trying to do. And then the coaching model supports them in the implementation of it. The 4th model is the community model. And this is where people are just connecting with others who have a shared interest. And it's not necessarily like a teaching component necessarily, but it's more about just bringing people together for discussion. The 5th model is a modular or drip. And this is where you have your content that is dripped out over a long period of time. So it follows a very structured flow, and it progresses day after day, week after week, month after month. And the key there is that no matter when somebody joins, they're going to be starting on day 0, and the content will be dripped out for them accordingly. And then the number 6 model is the combo. This is where it could be a combination of both, publisher and community, or UPS and community, et cetera, et cetera. And there are many great examples of this. Another good one would be the Nonprofit Leadership Lab with Scott Paley and Joan Gary. It's a combination of both content, community, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully that helps answer and clarify like the different types of knowledge-based memberships. What I can tell you is this: there is a booming demand for knowledge-based memberships in all kinds of different markets, because one of the upside, so the bright side, so to speak, of the pandemic was that more people were online and more people were open to learning online. In fact, we saw a massive boom in the amount of money that was being spent in online education. We saw a massive boom in terms of membership revenue and subscriptions. And all of this has opened so many doors for those of us who have knowledge to share. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, you got physical product-based memberships, service-based memberships, community-based memberships, and knowledge-based memberships. And we just went through the 6 different types of knowledge-based memberships. My encouragement to you is just to think about, again, like what are you trying to achieve with your membership? How do you want that business to, what do you want that business to look like? Do you want to be involved? Do you want it to be more hands-free? Do you want are you going to be the primary person delivering the content? Is it going to involve others? I want you to think about those components. And I want you to think about your market and their needs and how can you best help them go from where they are to where they want to be. And it is going to influence the type of membership that you're going to select. As you can see, if you're supporting people in implementing what they've learned from a previous course, then coaching model is likely going to be a much more direct path for you. If it's going to be more of an introductory type membership, then a publisher model might be a more relevant choice for you there. Hopefully this has been helpful and answered some questions for you. And again, I want to encourage you because on April 21st, mark this date down, tell everybody you know, April 21st, I am going to be delivering a free membership workshop. You can join for absolutely free by going to membershipworkshop.com. Every year, I do this one time a year. And in fact, we had a meeting minutes before I came live with you where we were discussing and planning for what that experience is going to look like in terms of the cameras and the things and all what the content is going to be shared. And it is jam-packed and it is going to be amazing. If you've got questions about membership sites, this 100% is the place to be and come and join us. It's all free. Just go to membershipworkshop.com and you'll be able to register and just mark the date April 21st on the calendar. It is live. So I am live. I am answering questions. It is an incredible time. You're going to hear so many different examples of different types of memberships. You're going to get clarity on, is your market a right fit for the membership? You're going to get clarity on what do you provide inside of the membership. You're going to get clarity on how to market the membership and so much more. So come join us. It happens one time a year. This is it coming up April 21st. And you can register for free by going to membershipworkshop.com. All right, my friend, you go make it a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.